Hello, welcome to week 11. I just looked at the calendar quickly and realized that we have actually less than 1 month left of this class. And in 2 weeks, we'll be on campus all together and we'll get to meet you guys in person. And I'm very excited about that. And I hope you guys are too. I know you're all a little bit nervous about the final exam, but Wednesday of intensives, we'll go through everything and to give you some pointers, and you guys will have time to practice together too in the lab if you want. But hopefully you're excited to be on campus as well. So let's look at week 11. And we get to read Varney this week, which is kind of a nice change. Chapters 21, A and B, and then reading Jarvis, chapter 31. There are some videos here. We're actually going to talk more about pregnancy, which is kind of fun. It's the whole reason we're here. Assessing the pregnant woman, the subjective assessment, and assessing the pregnant woman, the objective assessment. About just a little bit over half an hour total, so not too bad. There are no midweek activities this week, which is nice, so you'll have time to focus on your neuro skills exam. And then there's a week 11 quiz 5. So let's look at the neuro skills proficiency video. This is where we'll be doing cranial nerves. This video is 12 to 15 minutes long, and your last video, so that's exciting. I have the rubric pulled up here, so let's look at that together. So the standard things always as normal in the beginning here. First three things are always the same. And then the big chunk of this exam is the cranial nerves, and you can find the details about that on these pages listed here. And just note here, you must perform all the assessments for the nerve. So we don't normally test optic nerve, cranial nerve 1. It's just not normally assessed. That's sensation of smell, etc. So we're just going to start with cranial nerve 2, and the two tests that you need to do there are a confrontation, which is in your book, and things to remember on that is that you are testing the eye that is not covered. So they talk about it in the book, but you're going to cover your eye and they're going to cover their eye across from each other, and you're covering your eye so that you are kind of the standard. So when you see your fingers come in, so should they. So hold your hands equally between you and your patient, so that you can see it, and it's not more visible to them or more visible to you, that it's equal. And just read up on that, and then you'll do the other eye as well. And then the fundoscopic exam, again talking through what you're seeing, what normal would be, etc. Go through the motions. Remember to place your hand on the patient's forehead or shoulder to stabilize yourself so you don't accidentally bump into them. The same steps we did earlier with the fundoscopic exam. So, and then 3, 4, and 6 are the oculomotor, trochlear, abducens. And these are just notes I've made for myself. Do not go off of these. They're just for me to remember. The palpebral fissures, that's just the opening in your eye, between the upper and lower lid. Those should be equal. Direct and consensual light reaction, we've done that before, so you're familiar with that. Accommodation, and the cardinal positions of gaze. So you guys have all done those things. 5 is the trigeminal nerve. And a couple things I made notes of here is make sure that when you're assessing that you're palpating their jaw when they're clenching their teeth. And you're going to have them clench and you're going to try and open their jaw, because that's part of that cranial nerve assessment, is they should be able to hold their jaw shut while you try and open it. And light touch is another part of that, and that's in very specific areas, so make sure you read your book. Again, these are just notes for me to talk about some highlights that have been struggles in the past. So with the cranial nerves, we're touching in very specific areas to assess the different nerves. So make sure you look at where those places are. The seventh cranial nerve is the facial nerve, and you're going to have them go through different things like smile, frown, close your eyes tightly, and you're going to try and open their eyes while they close their eyes tightly. Lifting the eyebrows, show your teeth, puff your cheeks, and then you're going to have them puff their cheeks, and you're going to push their cheeks and push the air out, and that should be symmetrical. It shouldn't come out one side of the mouth or other side. Cranial nerve 8 is the acoustic nerve, and you're going to do the whispered voice test. Remember, you're going to stand arm's length behind your patient, have them push their tragus in and out, and you're going to say a combination of letters or numbers, 3, and then do the other side. So make sure you do that correctly. Don't say words. Don't have them repeat a phrase. It's a combination of letters and numbers. And then cranial nerves 9 and 10, the glossopharyngeal and the vagus nerve. Part of that is using a tongue blade and having them say ah and watching the palate rise. And then you're going to also touch the posterior pharyngeal wall. That's another part of that assessment. Nerve 11 is the spinal accessory. You're assessing their muscles. You're going to have them turn their head against resistance like that, kind of. I'm sure I look just great doing that. You're going to have them shrug their shoulders against resistance as well. And cranial nerve 12 is the hypoglossal nerve, and that is inspecting the tongue and having them say light, tight, dynamite. So that's part of that assessment. Kind of fun things to do. Then we're going to go into the cerebellar function. There's rapid alternating movements or the finger test, finger-to-finger test. You only have to do one of those. Rapid alternating movements is having them slap their thighs back and forth, and go faster. And the finger-to-finger is where they, I believe it's, oh, the next one's finger-to-nose test, where they touch their nose and then your finger, and you're moving your finger around. And the last is the heel to shin, where they take their, and this is my leg and my heel, take their heel of one leg and run it all the way down their opposite leg, and then do the same on the other side. And then there's a balance testing. You only need to do one, the gait test or the Romberg test. And the gait test is having them walk 10 to 20 feet and then come back, and then they should walk heel to toe in a straight line similarly. The Romberg test is having them standing upright with their eyes closed for 20 seconds. And when you do that, make sure you stand close to them, so if they start to wobble, that you're there to catch them if needed. The sensory system, assessing for pain and graphesthesia. Pain, you're going to do sharp, dull assessments, and that's outlined in the book. And you want to start out by having them identify, okay, you tell them this is sharp and this is dull, so they know what you're doing. And make sure that you wait. You can't just go sharp, dull, sharp, dull. You have to actually wait about 2 seconds between. Otherwise, those nerve signals get confused. And graphesthesia is where you have them close their eyes and you trace a letter or number on their palm and see if they can identify what that is. Lastly, you'll be doing the reflexes, the deep tendon reflexes and the superficial reflexes, biceps, triceps, quadriceps, and Achilles. And make sure you follow how they're doing that in the book, as far as like how they're supporting the limb, where exactly they're holding, where exactly they're eliciting that reflex from. Those are all important steps to assess. And then the same criteria for the 10 points below that. So that is our assessment for this week. And let's see here. So my devotion for this week is from, what is it called here? Let's see. It's from Inspiration Ministries. It's called Joyful, Joyful. We're not quite in the Christmas season, but this We're warming up to it. Henry Van Dyke had experienced many inspirational moments as a Navy chaplain, pastor, and author of numerous devotional writings. He also had been an honored politician as United States ambassador to Holland and Luxembourg. But something unexpected happened to him one day in 1907 when he was visiting Massachusetts. Filled with joy at the sight of the Berkshire Mountains, he wrote words that became the powerful hymn, "Joyful, joyful, we adore thee." I'm going to try and read this without bursting into song with all the lyrics. Filled with overwhelming joy at what God was revealing, he described how he adored him, the God of glory, Lord of love. Looking toward him, our hearts unfold like flowers before thee, opening to the sun above. This joy changed our attitude towards life's problems. His prayer? Melt the clouds of sin and sadness, drive the dark of doubt away. Giver of immortal gladness, fill us with the light of day. He saw God's works all around, realizing that he was giving and forgiving, ever blessing, ever blessed. He was the wellspring of the joy of living. He was our Father, and Christ was our brother. He asked, "Teach us how to love each other. Lift us to the joy divine." Then he invited people everywhere to join the happy chorus, marching with joyful music that leads us sunward in the triumph of song of life. He felt the only music that could accompany these words was the Hymn to Joy from Ludwig van Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. Today, in whatever situation you face, remember that God knows what you are going through, even your final Well-Woman exam. The Bible assures us that he is ready to help you be a victor, not a victim. He can give you joy in the midst of every situation. During this season and your intensives, make sure you allow the joy of Jesus to fill your heart and life. So make sure you look around and find the joy in everyday things, even the crunching leaves under your feet, a sunset, 5 minutes of peace that doesn't involve studying. So this week's office hours will be on Tuesday at 8 a.m. Central Time. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I hope you all have a fantastic week. Take care.